Hello, everyone. Welcome and welcome back. If you are new, this is the Tree Stareback Podcast.
Yeah, formerly known as
I'm not even going to try it.
Cryptids Podcast.
There you go.
It was taken. I don't know why we didn't look up podcasts.
By like 7 other accounts.
Yeah, there's so many by that name.
There were so many podcasts by this name. When I created the link tree for this, it was automatically linking people to the other podcast.
Did it?
But yeah, because they use AI to like track amongst different platforms.
It's always AI that messes up everything.
It's always AI.
This is an anti-AI account.
This is an anti-AI account.
But with that being said, we do have a new name. All of our social media is updated except for TikTok because it makes you wait 30 days, which is stupid. Anyways, we also have a new email for you guys to send your scary stories into, and Eric will put it in here while he's editing. But please send in all of your stories for us to read. We have 2 terrifying stories to read to you guys a little bit later today, so we're super excited.
Where should we go from here?
There's a list. What do you mean, where should we go from here?
I forgot to pull a list.
Okay. So for this... Please leave that in. There are going to be 2 different types of videos that exist on this show, podcast. What are we calling this? So the first set of stories is called Different Locations, Same Nightmares. So it's going to be different stories from all over the world, but you're still going to have the same amount of nightmares listening to them no matter where they came from. And the next set
is Same Location, Different Nightmares. Stories from the same general area, but give you a little bit of a different feel between the stories told. And
that is really going to be the blanket umbrella term for each episode that we are going to be doing. And for today's episode specifically, it's going to be Different Locations, Same Nightmares, because one story takes place in the Appalachian Mountains and the other one takes place
in Sweden.
So, very different, but same nightmares. You're still going to have nightmares.
But before we get started, we just want to go ahead and give a quick thanks to everyone that's been supporting us on both Spotify, YouTube, TikTok. Your support means everything. Your support gives us the inspiration to keep doing this. And we want to go ahead and give another thanks to everyone who's joining us for the first time. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, we should probably introduce ourselves because I have it written down here and I literally skipped right over it. I'm Morgan.
And I'm Eric.
We're married. You didn't ask, but we got married in 2021, but we've been together since high school. We've both been... Sorry, if you're just listening, you wouldn't have just seen our cat crawl up on the table.
It stepped on my coffee.
Oh, Vera, no. Come here. But yeah, we've both always been really interested in paranormal things, and you specifically didn't really have any occurrences until you met me, so I'm sorry about that.
Exactly.
I've tainted you. But we've grown really accustomed to it, I guess. This man married me, and I promptly said, we're going to buy a haunted painting, and it was really all just downhill from there. So...
But hey, listen, we have it, and we're going to share it with you all. So if you get experiences...
We should do an episode on Irene.
We should do an episode on Irene.
It'd be so fun. This is my formal plea. If you guys have any haunted object stories, send them in. Because
please.
I really, specifically paintings, because I think that would be such a good episode to talk about her and then others. Oh, I need to do it. Okay. Well, without further ado, I guess we can go ahead and get into the first story, which is going to be taking place in West Virginia, and I'll read that one. So they did ask to be kept anonymous, and they changed the names of the other people in here. So I'll leave those in, but their name is none of our business. So I used to live near the Greenbrier River in a small town of West Virginia. We saw a lot of weird things happen there, and years later at my grandparents' house about 25 minutes from this place by the river. I lived there from the summer after my freshman year till about halfway through my junior year in high school. My friends and I were always into the creepy paranormal stories, but before this I never really had any experiences. So my mom and I moved in there and lived with her boyfriend at the time and his family. He had a sister who had 2 kids around my age who lived there too. Just a reference for the purpose of what I'm about to tell you. This is kind of a compilation of a bunch of different little things that happened at different times, but I'm going to go through them in order that they happened. The first thing I can remember was my freshman year. I'm not sure what happened, but I heard my mom scream from her room, which was across the upstairs hall from... There's so many cats! There's so...
You're never this invasive. What are you doing? What's the matter with you?
I looked up and there's all of the...
We have 7 cats.
Okay, so if you're just listening and you're not watching, you didn't see one cat at a time swarm the table and my husband. We have... I'm sorry
There's
for the...
5 cats in this room right now.
I'm sorry for the, like... I'll get back to the story in just a second. But, we have, like, an acoustic box with a mic in it. And Pyrrha was just literally... I looked up as she was climbing in the mic box. Hi, Pyrrha. You want to say hello to the camera?
They're probably just going to hear, like...
You want to say hello? Okay, well, if you don't want to be...
Oh, no, not the shoulder.
Oh, she got me.
Child.
Okay. Let's get back to the story. Can you keep the cats at bay?
I'm doing my best. There's 5 of them.
Okay, let's see.
1 is a hassle.
Okay. The first thing I can remember was my freshman year. I'm not sure what happened, but I heard my mom scream from her room, which was across the upstairs hall from mine. It scared me, so I yelled for her and went to check on her, and she was just standing in the middle of the room and looking at her phone. I don't remember exactly, but she said she heard someone say something behind her. No one was in the room with her. She said right after that happened, her phone just started glitching, and the screen looked like white and black stripes, like it had been smashed or something, but it wasn't. She never talked about it after that, but a year later I asked for this thing called a psychic circle for Christmas. It's sort of like a Ouija board, but there's way more things than just letters and numbers on it. It has zodiac signs, I think, and an element symbol on each corner. That's cool.
It sounds like that one from, like... You remember that movie Veronica?
Yeah, but I thought it was just a Ouija board.
No, remember it was circular.
I'm gonna look up what it looks like. I have never heard of one of those. Don't track my location, Google.
It's Safari. What are they gonna do? That's actually really cool.
That's cool. Eric will insert a picture here if you're watching, so you can see what we're looking at.
But it literally just looks like a zodiac circle with, like, the alphabet. There's also, like, images of the zodiacs. There's numbers. There's colors.
It's stunning. I want one. It's only $27. What is this website? These are cool. Hold on.
I wonder if we can get that metaphysical downtown to order one of these.
They might have one.
They might.
Okay, it says Walmart sells them.
Walmart?
for $20.
What?
Okay, but is it Walmart or is it like...
Oh my god, no, it's real. Oh wait, no.
No, it's a store.
It's
like
a book.
Through... Is it? Oh, it's a paperback. Okay, this is not what I asked for. Okay, Etsy has them. Okay, why do I want to get one and try this out so badly?
Probably because the Ouija board guy won't leave us alone. I feel like he probably doesn't
Freaking
have
Z. Oh, we are going to do a whole Ouija board episode. I have to meet with one of our old friends who actually introduced us to the Ouija board and Z, because I need to pick his brain about stuff that happened.
We have so many people that we did Ouija boards with. It's crazy.
Yeah. So many. But I specifically want to talk to him because he's the one that got us, like,
infested with Z?
Yeah. Essentially. Okay, I got sidetracked. Let's go back to the story. I made sure to read the guidebook and close it after using it, but some weird things still happened after I got it. I'm not sure if it was because of the board or not. Anyways, one day I was in my room after I got this thing, and a friend of mine was staying the night. We'll call her Sophie. I remember exactly what we were doing. We were just joking around and having fun, and I think we were on the topic of creepy and paranormal stuff. It was at night, and for some reason, she jumped up and walked over from the bed to my door and hit the light switch. I was on the bedside that was closest to my door, and she, for some reason, turned the light off. I think just to get a reaction out of me. But the hallway light still let some light into the room, so I could see her standing there. As soon as she flipped the light switch, my door, which would always swing wide open if I didn't latch it because it was just not level, slammed shut. I saw her, and she did not touch the door. She screamed, and I froze. I couldn't see anything because it was pitch black, but I could feel her jump onto my bed. You know how you can tell when someone's in front or behind you by hearing and feeling them? Well, I felt her jump onto her side of the bed, and she was in front of me the whole time until she landed next to me on the bed. Ooh! This next part happened pretty fast, too. As soon as she hit the bed, I felt the hands from behind me grab and squeeze both of my shoulders. Then I screamed and ducked my head out of instinct and covered my ears. I'm not sure why I did that. I can't remember, but I think I must have heard something behind me. I can't recall what it sounded like. After this, it was dead silent in her room. And I said, Sophie? And she responded, yeah? And then I got up as fast as I could and flipped that switch back on. She was curled up in a ball on her side of the bed, and we just kind of looked at each other for a minute, not saying anything. And even though I know what I saw, I still asked her if she shut that door. She said no. Now, me and her did a prank on each other sometimes, but not often, and I could tell this freaked her out as much as it did me. I also asked her if she grabbed me, and she said she didn't. So I told her what I felt, but we sort of just tried to laugh it off awkwardly because that's just how we were. My mom's boyfriend's mother, we'll call her B, also had an experience one day. One day, my mom and her boyfriend and I all went to check out the river because it had frozen over. We wanted to see how thick the ice was. When we all got back, B told us that right after we walked out of that kitchen door that she was sitting at the table, a cabinet flew open. The glass came flying out of it. She said it was glass that belonged to her husband who had passed away just before I moved in there.
Ugh.
Ooh. Okay. Thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts on that first little part.
Yeah, it's like The Conjuring.
It does remind me of The Conjuring. It's like every casual haunted house story that's like getting progressively worse. So the fact that the friend was just rolled up in a ball and you felt all of this stuff, that is terrifying.
Yeah, and like they said that the door was level so it would swing open. There's no amount of wind that's going to slam it shut like that unless it's like hurricane like wind.
This is like poltergeist level activity.
It is like poltergeist level activity.
Especially when things are able to touch you and scare you like that, that's just poltergeisty.
Exactly, and just like with like the destructive level that they're forcing things, that is giving poltergeist.
Yeah. Because I don't think that was like the husband saying hello by smashing glass.
No.
So midway through my junior year, me, my mom, and her boyfriend all moved out and moved in with my grandparents. This was the place where I lived for most of my life. Nothing spooky ever really happened there until we moved back in and her boyfriend was with us. He never lived there before this. Their bedroom was downstairs and mine was upstairs right next to my grandparents' bedroom. Well, my mom and, let's call him Lane, get into an awful fight one night, yelling and throwing things. Eventually, Lane left the house for a while. After he left, Mom told me that when they were in the room, she saw this massive black shadow just appear between them. She said she didn't know how because the overhead light was on. It wasn't dark at all. Ugh. But this thing was so black that she couldn't even see Lane behind it, even though he was standing right in front of her. When he walked outside to leave, she followed him and started to walk down the driveway. The porch light was also on and it was dark out, but she wasn't far from the porch. She told me she stopped because she saw the black mass again right in front of her. Shortly after this was when she told me. So, could that be a manifestation of bad energy?
Yeah.
Or is this an attachment to Lane? Because they said, well, that could be either one. If nothing happened in that house before Lane moved in, but it spawned during a fight. Woo!
Oh.
Pyrrha,
are you messing with the... I was wondering why I heard, like, rattling.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Originally I was like, oh yeah, that's, like, manifestation of, like, their fight, but, like, if that didn't happen until Lane moved in, it could just be, like, a negative energy attached itself to him that manifests during a negative energy output.
So let's shelve both of those, and as we keep reading, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. Fast forward towards the end of my junior year, we moved again, this time to Hillsboro, not far from the place we lived near the river. My mom's dad, not the same grandpa I lived with before, owned a house there and offered for us to live there. And my mom's sister and my aunt Kalina also stayed there most of the time. My aunt told me some creepy stories about that house in Hillsboro sometimes. She told us that once she heard this voice of a little boy talking, but it sounded muffled, and she couldn't make out what it was saying. She said she tried to talk to him and asked him if he needed help, but she couldn't make out what he was saying. My mom and aunt both said that they sometimes saw someone looking like they were sitting on the steps in the hall, like from the corner of their eye. When they looked, no one was there. This happened a few times, and they were standing in different spots too when this would happen, so it didn't seem like a trick of the eye or something. My aunt said she saw something while she was in the front yard at night with the porch lights on, that she could see the imprint of footprints in the grass. Like there was something standing there and flattening the grass, but there was no one there. That's exactly how she described it. My mom had a similar experience, also in the front yard, where she heard someone running at her. She said she could hear the footsteps and feel the hits on the ground like someone was running. She said she ran right into that house and shut the door and locked it, and whatever it was ran right into the door and hit it. Maybe a ghost? Or maybe some technology we don't know of yet? To be so physical like that makes me wonder about the second theory I listed here. Either way, very scary and weird.
No.
Something similar happened to me, and it was more folklore-based. So,
I mean, this was in West Virginia.
yeah. I'll retell the whole story of it, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. But essentially, I was chased by something from the woods, right? And I ran into this front door. I'm pointing at my front door. But I ran in here, heard the screen door shut behind it, and then something hit the door
Just
so hard
slammed into it.
that pictures flew off the wall.
Ugh.
So that's kind of what this is making me think of. The voice of the little boy could really be anything.
I mean,
It could also be that, though, because these things take voices. Where someone was standing there but they couldn't see anyone could also be that. It could also be other things. But that specific running into the door and hitting it's making me think of
yeah, no,
my experience.
exactly, yeah. And especially since this is taking place in, like, West Virginia. Especially.
I've never heard of any of these creatures, like, disguising themselves and it just looking like an imprint in the grass. That doesn't mean they don't. I've never heard of that, though.
Well, it could have been mimicking a nature spirit.
It could have been, yeah. I feel like a nature spirit wouldn't do that, so I don't think that is a nature spirit.
Leave
But-
footprints in the grass?
No, wouldn't charge it.
No, definitely wouldn't try. I'm talking about
So-
the footprints in the
Oh,
grass.
yeah. So, but I was saying it's probably not that. It could be something mimicking, but I don't think it's like a nature spirit.
Probably not. That was just the first thing that came to my mind.
That is wild.
That's insane.
Later, my mom's dad kicked her out of the house, so she ended up staying with Lane again, even though they weren't together, but she didn't want to live with my father's parents and me again. They were on the same property that we lived at when I was in high school, but in a camper because the house had a bad fire and was being rebuilt. I went to stay with Mom one time and I was sitting outside. It was like 4 p.m., beautiful fall weather. Lane had 2 German Shepherds, one male named Clutch and a female white German Shepherd named Cotton. Cotton was outside too. I have never seen a white German Shepherd.
No, I haven't either.
I bet they look like huskies.
I bet they do. I bet they look like fat huskies.
Cotton was outside too, and I guess Mom and Lane were on the camper. They usually had lots of people on the property, but when this happened, I didn't see anyone else around. I heard this long, drawn-out whistle that almost could be mistaken for a gust of wind. It was strange, like it sounded like someone whistled and it echoed, or like the wind carried the sound of the whistle with it. This is where it gets creepy. It was already creepy. I lost my place. I found it. When I thought I was losing my mind, Cotton looked exactly in the direction that I heard it from and started slowly walking towards it. Cotton, no! This dog was a good dog, loyal and protective, and never really ran off or anything. In this moment, Cotton was not acting like herself. It was like she was charmed or hypnotized or something. I, of course, freaked out and yelled for her and told her to come back. She immediately did, and I don't know what she would have walked into if I hadn't snapped her out of it. This is another incident that I wasn't there for, but on the same property. I heard from my mom and my old friends Sophie and Lane's niece Claire, let's call her, experienced something similar where they said they saw Cotton and Clutch walk out into the woods, but that it wasn't the actual dogs. Like, it was something that made itself look like them, basically. Now, I don't know how true that was, but after everything else I've seen, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. It seems like your family has gotten the attention of one of the things that lurks in the woods here, and it's just attaching and following and manifesting and tormenting.
Yeah, literally.
Especially with the whistle, because that's like textbook Appalachian stuff right there, that whistle is.
It's gotta be a nasty one if it wasn't chased off by that dog, too.
Yeah. Well, the fact that it's hypnotizing the dog to walk into it, like, I don't like that. And
No.
it's making itself look like the dog. I don't like it. I don't like that. It makes me
Not like that at
uncomfortable. So, fast forward to when I was 20, still living with my grandparents. One morning at like 9 in the morning, they leave together to go to an appointment. I couldn't sleep the night before, so I was still awake when they left, and right after they left, I heard what sounded like nails tapping on the wall from their bedroom. Now, I tried to convince myself that maybe it was just a little dog that stayed in their room making racket by scratching and their little paws were hitting the floor. But the tapping only got louder and more louder, so eventually I just yelled, "Stop!" The tapping got way quieter and softer instantly. Then I said in my boldest voice possible, even though I was terrified, "You are not welcome here." After that, it stopped completely. I was even about to get some sleep, but I couldn't after that. Nothing else happened that day. This was my childhood home, and nothing has happened there before these incidents I've talked about, and I don't know what changed.
Oh, you yelled at it. That's what changed. It left.
So that's the thing. When it comes to certain entities and spirits, it's hard. You need to figure out exactly what you're dealing with, because sometimes if it's a spirit and you're just like, leave They will.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what you're supposed to do when you cleanse your space. You're like, get out of my house if you suck, you know?
Yeah.
But when it comes to, like, the things in the woods or mimics and stuff like that, you're not really supposed to acknowledge them because it just feeds them.
Yeah.
Because they really like attention. So it's best to know what you're dealing with because, yeah, I mean, sometimes it really does work out in your favor.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this is definitely something separate than what was attracting the dog. You really can't tell them to leave because, like you said, they just won't. You're not supposed to acknowledge them, but...
No, it's literally a situation of, like, okay, it's a dramatization, okay? This creature's like, some whack stuff. And you're like, leave. And it's like, you see me? You see me.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick this up a notch.
Literally. That's literally what happened.
Whereas if it's just like a spirit passing through and you're like, leave, it's like, fine. Fine if you don't want my money.
No, I literally just imagine...
I don't know why I quoted SpongeBob.
I just imagine, like, a random spirit coming to the house, like, hey, what's going on here? Not knowing that she's been tormented for so long, and she's just like, hey! And like, jeez, okay.
Just, But also, why are you coming in a space tapping? Like a salad finger level tap
salad
on the
fingers?
wall. I don't know why I started. Remember that one scene where he's like on the nail?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, when he, like, pierces his finger through
like,
it.
pew, pew, pew. That show, I really blame that for me being as weird as I am as an adult.
For our audience who was born after the year 2003, go check out Salad Fingers.
I'm not paying for any therapy after you watch that. So this one was the year that I was 21. My dad was in a bad car accident. He's okay now, but my mom stayed with me at my grandparents' for a while so someone would be there to look after my grandma who has dementia while Grandpa and I were driving to visit Dad in Charleston. Well, one night I was up late. My mom was in the living room down the hall. The downstairs bedroom was not suitable to sleep in at this point due to flood leaks that caused mold. And I hear what sounded like my grandparents' little dogs, Ranger and Maisie. It sounded like they were running up the hall from the living room to the end where me and my grandparents' doors were, but it didn't sound right. It couldn't have been them because my grandpa's door was shut and they slept in there with him. I know they were in my grandparents' room. What's more, the running wasn't consistent. It would run from the living room to our doors, stop, get silent, then start up again, but from the living room. Ooh. If they were actually there outside my door, I would have heard their little nails walk back to the living room. We have wooden floors. Then once that thought went through my head, it started going back and forth, but the sound kept getting more distorted and disturbing, like if something was mocking the way the little dogs would run. I don't know how to describe it other than the fact that it sounded like more or fewer paws than 4. After a while, it stopped, and about half an hour later, I heard what sounded like a front door slam shut. I didn't hear it open. Also, this was a mod entry house, so as soon as you walk in, there's stairs that go up and stairs that go down. Then what sounded like a person who just came in stomped deliberately loud up the stairs, and once it got to the top, it completely went silent again. I instantly got up as quiet as possible and made sure my bedroom door was locked, because I didn't know if someone was actually in the house. No, I never heard my mom get up or anything. I would have, because at that night it's so quiet in the house and the walls were so thin. The next morning, my grandpa asked if someone came in the house. Mom said no and that she didn't hear anything at all, but my grandpa and I both heard the loud slam of the door and the stomping. I'm worried maybe something is attached to my mom.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something's attached since it's following.
But it could be literally to any of you guys.
Yeah.
Because that's still giving folklore-esque. But the good news is, if it is something involving folklore, they typically won't come into your house. They follow, like, vampire-esque rules.
Yeah, like, if they need permission to enter your home, you need to leave, like, an open door, an open window.
But they usually don't do that anyways.
No.
They get you outside. Here's the thing. When it comes to them, they are not going to do extra work. They don't need to.
No.
They have all of these tricks to get you out in the open, to get you to come directly to them. They're not going to come in your house and get you while you're sleeping. That's not a thing that they do.
This one sounds more like an attached energy to one of you, or maybe even to, like, your family. We've had sounds of what sounds like animals running around our house, which we have 7 cats, so oftentimes it is just cats. But recently I had an experience as well where I heard something stomp down the stairs and just go completely silent. It sounds probably just like an energy just trying to mess with you. At least that's what I think.
Counterpoint to that, it still could be the thing in the woods, but they can throw sound. They can mimic...
Oh, yeah, it could be.
They can mimic literally any sound, and they can throw that sound. So they could be literally 20 miles back in the woods, but make it sound like they're inside of your house. But making noises.
I forgot they could do that, honestly.
Yeah, unfortunately they can. So It could be an attached energy, and it could be that. Yeah. It's, some things have such a close, like, what's the term, prognosis, that it's really hard to tell what it could be, and you just have to start doing different things to see what fixes the problem, and eventually, if you see what fixes it, you can kind of, like, connect it to what the problem was, because the same thing that gets rid of an attachment or a poltergeist even is not going to touch these things in the woods.
No, not at all.
Vice versa. Like, so iron works for the things in the woods, but if you have a poltergeist in the house and you're like, with an iron stake, like, it's gonna look at you like you have 7 heads. Because it's not going to do anything. So yeah, this sounds like one of those situations where it's like throwing fixes to see what sticks, and then you know after, which we've had to do.
Process of elimination.
Yeah, which we have had to do as well.
Yeah. I definitely would, in this case, keep some form of iron on you. Whether you keep that in the form of a necklace or just a piece of raw iron in your pocket, it will help.
An iron necklace is a really good idea. Especially in Appalachia.
Well, you know how you walk around and you see people with horseshoes?
Mm-hmm.
That's because they're made of iron.
Horseshoes are heavy.
Yeah, you nail them to the wall.
You said walk around with. I just
No,
imagine someone walking through the mall like... Just me and my horseshoe against the world. Against these entities.
I'm just saying, if I was in a fight with someone and they pulled out a set of horseshoes, I'm backing down. I'm not.
I am suddenly the thing in the woods.
Oh, maybe I am the negative energy.
Me when I get choked up when we, like, cleanse the house. The smoke hits me and I'm like, ugh. A little while later, my grandpa had to be flown to Charleston because he fell and had bleeding in his head. He's okay now, but I was there alone with my grandma, who has dementia and can't walk well at all. So I called my mom to ask her to stay with me again. Eventually, we ended up having to put my grandma into a nursing home while my grandpa was still in the hospital. So it was just me and my mom in this house. She also had one of her cousins over once, let's call her Mary. They were in the downstairs den of the house. They both told me that they heard what sounded like wind blowing, but from inside the house. My mom said it sounded like it was coming from the corner, then said the sound moved around. Now, I'm not sure about all the details, but I think they said they heard it but couldn't feel it. The same couple of days Mary was there, I heard one day what sounded like someone clapping, while I was on the back porch. Behind our house is just woods and mountains. It came from one side of the house, and then I heard the same clapping, but on the complete opposite side of the house. This went on for a while, and it kept moving around. Is this the hide and clap from The Conjuring?
Hide and clap?
That was the scariest scene in that movie. No, this more and more seems to be the things from the woods.
Absolutely, because it sounds like it's definitely trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
With, like, the clapping, so you'll look around and see it. With the wind blowing, because, like, my first thought would be, like, check the windows, see if one's open.
But if you didn't feel it...
Yeah. Well, no, because, like, I was going to say, like, if, like, it heard wind blowing, I would check the windows, which is, like, 1, a way to get you to look outside, or 2, a way to try and open a window to see if it's broken.
Yeah. And therefore, mega acknowledging it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more and more seeming like that. Okay. Another time, it was late at night, and Mom and I had just come back from town, and I walked to the front porch to unlock the door. Well, I heard what sounded like what you would hear if someone was welding metal or something. Like a blacksmith taking a hammer or something and hitting metal. That is exactly what came to mind. What made it weirder was the fact that it sounded big. Like a big hammer, big metal, loud and echoing, and it came from the mountain that is to the right of the house. I stood there for a minute because I've never heard anything like that. I was a little fascinated, to be honest. And then the noise changed. It sounded like chains rattling from the same direction. The chains also sounded big. Like when I was hearing it, I just imagined this huge chain noise start to fade out. And then I heard a big dog growl. I mean, it sounded like a dog, but it was a deeper sound than any dog could make. I imagined it to be the size of a bear, but it didn't even. It's like those voice effects when someone makes their voice sound way deeper. Like in a video or song, and you can tell that that's a naturally deep voice, or not a naturally deep voice. That's what this growl sounded like. It sounded much closer than the chains, like it was just out of sight around the side of my house. I went inside and locked the freaking door. It's definitely something in the woods.
Absolutely.
It's definitely. I was gonna... Something in that story reminded me of something, and now I lost it.
Was it where it was like...
Oh my god, I remember what it was. It's not scary, it's funny. They were talking about that welding sound. It reminded me of when we first started dating, and someone had revved their 4-wheeler up. We were walking into your house at night, and you thought it was a chainsaw. And I couldn't hear you over the sound of it, and you kept telling me to run. And I was like, I don't know what you're saying. And you left me with what you believed was a chainsaw-wielding maniac charging at me. You left me in the middle of your driveway in that one-horse town.
Listen. You don't listen to me.
I couldn't hear.
I screamed, run, twice.
I
that
thought
should
you
give
said bun.
Why would I? Even so, it rhymes with run. Have a sense of urgency to you.
I was looking for the hot
You
dog
grew up
bun.
in the mountains.
Yeah, exactly. I recognized a four-wheeler sound.
I'm going to put up a poll on Spotify. Who is right in this situation?
Yeah, who's right? The one who ran off and left his new girlfriend, or the one that was confused because she thought he said bun and there was a four-wheeler in the distance?
The one who heard something with a sound that rhymes with run, sound revving in the background, and didn't run, who grew up in the mountains. There's people out here who eat people. You should have ran anyway. Why do I have to tell you?
Are you done? I'm glad you're out of coffee. I hope it was nasty.
Sad face.
I also heard what sounded like someone running through my yard on a different night. I was by the window that was open and it sounded crazy fast.
Oh, why was your window open?
From my front yard past the house and into the backyard. I didn't see anyone, but we only had a few neighboring houses, and the people that lived in them were older, so it couldn't have been them, so I don't know. That's everything, and I hope you enjoyed these stories. I'm glad I could share them with you.
God,
well,
they
I'm
were
terrified.
nightmares, all of them.
So the window being open, I don't know if that's your journey.
Maybe invest in an air conditioner.
But it's so nice to have just fresh air.
It's nice also
Fresh air's
to
for
not...
dead people or whatever. No, we can't say anything because we also leave the window open in the summer.
Yeah, we do.
And every summer we hear that godforsaken whistle coming from the woods behind our house. So if it is an option, keep those shut. Keep your curtain shut.
Well.
Yeah, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No, it's
be
really
in a
not.
stuffy house instead because you're just going to be terrified. Okay, you have a story next, and it's the one from Sweden.
We do. We do have a story from Sweden.
Is it going to... How long was I reading that? Quite a bit because I kept stopping to chat.
This story is a lot shorter, but if it's anything like most stories from Sweden, this is going to be just as nightmarish as the last. Hey, from Sweden. I was born and raised on an island called Gotland. I love Gotland. I've always wanted to visit since you told me about it.
Me too.
It's a severely haunted island. There's a story from the island about a maid who let a Danish king in the city walls. She was bricked in the city walls, and you can hear her begging for help on a stormy night.
Oof.
My mom's first apartment came with torture chambers in the basement, and she saw a lady in white almost every night. We have mimics, shadow beings, and other stuff where I'm at now. I have scratches at the window just like my cat did when he would try to come in. And heard a full conversation with my husband, and he was not at the house. He came home a bit later. I saw my son come down the stairs and went up again, and he came down a bit later. I asked him if he changed his mind about something or other here, and he claimed that he was never downstairs, but I saw him. Literal mimic. It's like a
mimic,
literal mimic story.
Well, I think there might be a few other things going on there, especially the lady in white, because I don't think she's a mimic.
No, that's not a mimic.
But that's mostly mimic stuff, yeah.
Yeah, what's happening to this person specifically is a mimic, but it's like... I've heard so many interpretations around the world of a woman in white.
It's one of my favorite urban legends.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because it's typically, the woman in white, if I'm not mistaken, the story's a lot like La Llorona.
Yeah, they all typically strain from La Llorona, which is Mexican folklore.
Yeah, but it's usually like a woman who either took her own life and her kids or whatever, and she's destined. It's usually a road that she haunts. And
she usually is near water as well.
Yeah, it's always around water.
And Gotland's an island, so...
That would make sense.
Let's see here. My main story is when I was smaller, around 10 years old. We were on a motorcycle holiday with about 10 or 20 others. We stopped in a remote place and rented for the night, so the next day we could keep moving. It was across a little gravel road this house was. The kids that were with the group were kept here. There was an older lady at this area who did the garden work, and that there was a troll-like being lurking close by. She didn't seem to notice the troll-like being. She asked if we would like a tour of the house, and we were excited. We asked her parents, and they said sure. We went in, a spiral staircase, and I was last in line. I turned around, and the troll being was behind me and pushed me. Next thing we know, we're outside. I tried to talk to the others about it, but no one would have it. I don't know how we got outside. Love from Sweden. So you stopped at a hostel, and this creature literally shoved you as you were going up the steps, and then you just randomly appeared outside. There's so many European stories involving troll-like creatures, especially in like.
They're a type of fae, right?
Yeah, they're more of like Celtic folklore, and Nordic folklore.
I don't know much about trolls. I know stuff about fae. I didn't know if they were in like the same family. There's also gnomes.
Yeah, there's gnomes
that are within that realm.
But trolls are they're just like fae. They're rather trickster. From what I remember, I'm not a part of that.
So I'm sure Eric cut this out, but he messed up a few words. And the way he read the last part, it sounded like the person that wrote this in called the gardener troll-like, and I was like, wait, you can't say that.
I was like, you can't just call someone a troll, like.
So we had a full like conversation about it, and yeah, Eric went back and he was like, oh, they said. But no, that's really interesting. I love stories about, like, fae, and no, I don't really hear much about trolls.
No, Gotland is rich with, like, legit folklore.
You know, it's funny. So I've gotten stories from Gotland, and I am pretty sure one of the ones that I got involved trolls. They must be really prominent there, because I am pretty sure that the one I got, right?
Yeah.
Or am I making that up?
No, you got one from Gotland, and I'm pretty sure it did involve trolls. It also definitely involved mimics as well.
It was either trolls or the fae. The fae would also be really fun. Yeah. We could do a whole series on the fae.
If you have any stories from Gotland, whether you live there or if you traveled there at some point and you have any experience, please send it to us, because I love Gotland. I've always wanted to go, and you've actually gotten invitations to come visit Gotland.
Mm-hmm. We send us stories from everywhere, honestly.
Yeah, please.
But no, that's really. I would love to learn more about trolls. I need to sit down and actually research.
But let's talk about that story from the beginning. It's like, hi, come on in. Why are you putting me in the... It's like the cast of... what's that? Edgar Allan Poe story?
Telltale Heart?
No. It's like the one where they like, bricked him into the walls. The cast of a Montague or something like that.
I have never heard that one.
Oh my god, you haven't?
No, I have all of his stories.
Oh, you need to read it. But no, those are some wild things to start with. It's like, hey, I have some stories, but by the way, here's some nightmare tales from... like, hey... I let the king in, and now I was buried into the walls.
No, also, my mom's apartment had a torture chamber, so casually. I was like, is this what I sound like to outside people when I talk about the things in the woods of Appalachia? Just casually being like, there's a monster that really likes people as snacks.
Also, aside from, like, the paranormal stories of Gotland, I've only ever heard, like, really nice things. So to think that there was, like, a torture chamber
I know, they kind of blindsided me. I know, I was like, wait.
Wow, what a cute little island off the coast of Sweden. Hey, why is there nightmares here?
Nightmare. Why are you drinking from an empty cup?
No, it's empty.
I genuinely thought it was empty. I was like, are you just, like, doing that for effect? Just... No, those are absolutely terrifying.
No, yeah, that was great, though. Thank you for sending that in.
Yeah, thank you to both of you who sent in those stories. That was really fun to read.
Yeah, that was.
Those were both very nightmare-inducing. I think, for me, like, the Appalachia stories are always going to scare me so bad because I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
How long is this?
We're at 48 minutes, and after all the editing is said and done, it's probably
30.
Probably 30, but we still have some more things to discuss at the end.
Oh, yeah. Let me go back to my notes.
Yeah, thank you all so much for sending in the stories that you did. Please continue to send more stories, because we're wanting to keep up this thing of either same location, different nightmare, different location, same nightmare.
So make sure you send us in some stories to read, and you might be on next week's episode. I don't think we're doing a set theme, so it'll just be stories.
Yeah, we don't have a theme.
But I do want to do soon the haunted painting. And some more haunted object stories.
Yeah, please send in your stories if you have them. But please, if you have anything involving haunted paintings, please send that in, because we would really like to do that soon.
I would like to do a really long episode on haunted objects.
God, haunted objects, yeah, not just paintings, but yeah, that would be beautiful.
Even the stuff we have, because we have a haunted painting, Called
haunted
Little
statue.
Irene. We have the devil statue.
Yeah.
We have that wood painting that my woodcat's obsessed with.
We have the dolls that aren't even in the house because they caused a fire and a flood.
I forgot about the dolls.
Yeah, I did.
And the medicine cabinet.
The medicine cabinet, yeah, that was
So
bad.
what we could do is one episode just on our stuff,
Yeah.
and then another on other stuff.
Or we could even just do like a really long video covering a lot of different things.
Would you guys be down for that, like a 2-hour episode?
I think that'd be
Just on
cool.
haunted objects?
Yeah, please let us know in the comments. So we're still, as of right now, just uploading on Spotify, YouTube, uploading some clips on TikTok, and we're going to be doing regular posts on Instagram for advertising.
But we're going to branch out soon.
We are starting to branch out. I'm honestly just having a little bit of a hard time with our feed, especially with the name change. So soon you'll be able to hear us on across different platforms like Apple Music and on Amazon Music. But for right now, check us out on Spotify and YouTube. Again, name change.
Yeah.
We are The Tree Stare Back. No longer Cryptic. I'm glad the name changed. I hated the last one.
You came up with it. And I literally, when we were discussing the last name, I was like, that's kind of hard to say. And you said, yeah, but it goes hard.
It does go
That's
hard.
literally what you said.
Too
and I
bad
was-
I have a speech impediment.
I do too. I can't even say, I don't think I ever, whenever I was filming the TikTok to like announce it, I had to re-say it 4 times.
Yeah.
Like if I just posted that raw footage, I'd probably lose my platform.
Yeah. But no, yeah, we're on YouTube and Spotify. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Threads. That's where we're at right now. You can go check us out there. Go follow us. Keep updated. And here's the new email address for you to send submissions and stories to.
Hi, Pete. In the arms. But I think that is all for today. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't have anything else other than thank you for your stories. Thanks for the scares that we're going to be having later.
And thank you for your time.
Bye.
We will see.
Oh, I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
We will see you next week, next Friday at 8 a.m. EST.
Yep.